Today we're doing a new series on war stories. The only reason I am doing this is because I need content and it was just a free game. I've literally just got it last night. I just wondered, I found on an advert, looked interesting. But yeah, I've heard this is like a war stories and I know what this is pretty much. So we're going to start with number 1. It's probably going to end up being so we've got brothers in arms. Oh, I see. Brothers in armour. Flashpoint Berlin. Operation Sea Lion. Kennedy's. I'm just runaway tiger. Oh, there's so that many. Don't matter. Ah, so there's different parts in it. Well, that makes sense. So the rest are downloading.
Not every American tank built was destined for the U.S. Army. Some were transported through the Persian Corridor into the Soviet Union.
Really?
From the steelworks of Detroit, straight to
the
Eastern
one viewer, I
Front.
wonder who that is. Probably going to be George.
It wasn't just tanks that wound up in the Soviet Union. The Americans sent experienced combatants, too.
Why?
Colonel Peters had joined the Soviet advance into Romania. With the news spreading that a second front had opened up in France, both sides knew this was a critical turning point in the war.
Why? I wondered. I was going to see who was watching this and who it was. My channel. WLT1. Yep, right, it was George. I'm your daddy! Oh, God.
From his position on the hill, Peters and his Soviet crew were about to get their first taste of action as a joint force.
Okay. I'm waiting for the Operation Sea Lion one, to be honest. I've heard that one's good. 2 viewers, 2 comments.
The Germans had launched a preemptive strike on the Russian armor.
Miss. Why is it taking so long to reload? Yes.
She's loaded. I see one of them. Looks like that one went right through.
So ooh, doing quite well.
Enemy vehicle destroyed.
What am I supposed to do? I think enter there, but I just missed it. I think that's what I need to go for these, just set the destination. the now recording there.
They found us. Loaded and ready.
Oh, finally some hits.
Enemy vehicle destroyed.
I got hits.
They pierced their armor. Punched a hole in their armor. They destroyed one of our tanks. He's gone. Find us another target. Friendly vehicle destroyed.
Finally.
Like that one went right through. We finished it.
Peters knew if he didn't keep his Sherman moving, he'd end up a burning wreck.
Oh. Head to the black and kind of not do the... Oh god, that was close. Go away, boy. Cool.
Been detected. Look out, enemy spotted. We lost an out.
You can get it. Oh, fuck. I can't do... So just... Bacon is good. Wait, what? On my phone, it's still got. Get up! Go where you're waiting. If you slip off, there's got to be a way to get back up. Really? There isn't? Okay, that's bad game design. I slipped off and I can't get back up. And there's no views. Let's try and view this now. If I'm stuck down here. I don't care about this. Right, they just told you nothing.
The enemy knows our location. Reloading.
but they're not attacking. I seriously need to memorize. Is that a range? I really need to get up here to do that. You gotta be serious. Let's get this. Oh.
Been detected. Looks like that one went right through. Enemy scrambled. Enemy armor is destroyed. I see one of them. They pierced their armor. The track is damaged.
How much? Jesus, me falling off a cliff has just caused all this.
Looks like that one went right through.
With the German tanks routed, Peters looked at his Sherman crew with pride. They had passed their first test admirably.
Up where?
We did it. We won.
Thank God. I'll get money for it. Unlock. That's a garage, I guess. So, yeah. So, that's what we've just done. We're now forcing ahead.
The German preemptive strike had been fierce, the Soviet losses heavy. Regardless, the orders still stood. The Soviet offensive would continue as planned. Colonel Peters suddenly found himself caught up with the push towards the enemy front line. The Soviet Shermans had managed to stem the German onslaught, but they lacked the necessary reinforcements to press home their advantage.
Got a feeling the one Kennedy's war. Got a feeling that's going to be Cuban Missile Crisis. Operation Seal is causing the invasion of England. That's what I'm excited for.
It was now a race against time for the Soviets. They could make for the disabled tank and turn it against their enemy, or engage the Germans directly with the remaining Shermans. Peters prayed they would make the right call. Peters rallied his crew. It was their turn to strike back at the Germans.
think I'm actually going to take that area. That's going to be such an area. Ah, yeah. Capture the enemy bases.
Peters had a plan. He'd capture some abandoned tanks and turn them against the enemy.
Oh. Next one. Oh, they should do what they do in Domination and change the flag. No, who? Ah, so many maps. That'd be cool. Like, we've captured this area, we changed the flag. Oh. What they did in Battlefield 1 with through Mud and Blood. On the start when you had to assault towns.
Enemy exposed. Enemy's looking right at us. That one drilled straight through. Looks like that one went right through.
Jesus! Fire!
Penetrate their armor. Penetration. Enemy vehicle destroyed. Looks like that one went right through.
Get your health back up. No. I am probably gonna die.
Enemy in sight. They hit one of our tracks. Pierced their armor. I see one of them.
Boom.
Knocked down. Looks like that one went right through. Enemy vehicle destroyed.
So I'm getting back.
What's the hole in their armor?
The battlefield was littered with the smoking remains of German armor. Peters was thankful they had survived, just. But this day was far from over.
was quick. I haven't died yet. This is surprising. Continue. At least got victory. Well, zone 3, push on. So the final one then. Oh, this is so easy if I can't die. Again, it's a bit like Battlefield 1.
In one bloody morning, the advantage had swung from the Germans back to the Soviets. The preemptive strike had been curtailed. Peters, bolstered with captured enemy tanks, rejoined the main Soviet force for the final assault.
I thought the first one was a German blockade. Stuff in alternate history.
As they bore down on the German position, Peters was comforted by the thought that, if he fell, he would die surrounded by men he'd be proud to call brothers.
What's that? Why are you even calling brothers?
This was it. If Peters could smash the enemy front line, Germany would be pushed out of Romania.
Guess just it's another finally base capture.
Peters knew that somewhere out there, enemy tank destroyers were waiting to ambush the Russian advance.
Fire incoming! Where's next on the front? Friendly vehicle destroyed. Enemy exposed.
Dead, I'm dead.
The final assault had been fierce, with a head.
I've died. What has happened? Let's try it again. Oh, I don't have to go through this again. I'm skipping this.
This was it. If Peters could smash the enemy front line, Germany would be pushed out of Romania. Peters knew that somewhere out there, enemy tank destroyers were waiting to ambush the Russian advance.
The enemy knows our location. They destroyed one of our tanks.
Oh god, no. It's not there, really? Got me another target. Okay, try and get up this
final assault had
How
been
did they
fierce,
kill
with
you
a
in
heavy...
2 shots? How? 2 shots? Really? You're there struggling, where are they? Oh, they're behind you with 2 shots and you're dead? Oh my battle. Oh, God, that's getting annoying now. I'm not going through that. Push for the victory. Yeah, it's not
This
like
was
they
it.
kill you in
If Peters could smash the enemy front
he
line,
could do
Germany
this, if
would be
Peter
pushed
could
out
do
of
that.
Romania.
It's getting annoying now.
Peters knew that somewhere out there, enemy tank destroyers were waiting to ambush the Russian advance.
They destroyed one of our tanks. They've spotted us.
How do we do anything? You can't really do anything. The tank won't let you get up the hill. Surely tanks can get up hills.
Busting a hole in their armor. Look
Oh
out.
God.
Long-range fire again. Look out. Enemy spotted.
Where'd they move? Where's it move? Oh, for Christ! I'm dead again! This show.
The final assault had been fierce, with a heavy price paid by both sides.
Over
When
here.
the smoke finally cleared,
When the smoke finally cleared. Yeah, 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 yeah. How are you supposed to do that bit? You find one bit, you try and shoot, it fails. You find another bit, you try and shoot, it fails. My God, how did you do that bit? Gosh, and I thought the first 2 were easy. I'm just give up now. I'm not listening.
this was it. If Peters could smash
This
the
was
enemy
it.
front line, Germany would be pushed out of Romania.
Yes, but he can't because the Germans they don't even keep where they are. They say this is where we are, and they disappear.
Peters knew that somewhere out there, enemy tank destroyers were waiting to ambush the Russian advance.
Yep, you know.
They found us.
Yep, you're not wrong there.
Gun loaded. Bring damage.
Oh my God! You
We got long-range
don't even
fire
show you where
incoming.
they are. You can't even replace them.
The final assault had been fierce, with a heavy price.
What? How? Someone tell me. How? That is impossible. That is impossible. No, wait, they disappear. It's not like they're not there anymore. They totally just disappear.
This was it. If Peters could smash
I
the
shoot
enemy
the same
front line,
place and they're not
Germany
there.
would be pushed out of Romania.
Find something now.
Peters knew that somewhere out there, enemy tank destroyers were waiting to ambush the Russian advance.
Oh shit. Oh, for God's sake, stop moving.
Vehicles
That was
destroyed.
no trouble.
Loaded and ready.
And now they spot you. And you don't show you where they are.
final assault had been fierce, with a heavy price paid
gosh.
by both sides. When the smoke finally cleared across the German front line, Russia had lost the battle, and America had lost a hero.
America's lost a hero, well done. I give up. That is impossible. There's no way that... Why? You try and shoot them. It takes 5 shots. They try and it's 1 shot. Oh look, you're dead. Oh my God. You kind of misspotted. You get spotted either way.
This was it. If Peters could smash the enemy front line, Germany would be pushed out of Romania.
It just wouldn't stop moving. One of these.
Peters knew that somewhere out there, enemy tank destroyers were waiting to ambush the Russian advance.
They destroyed one of our tanks.
Yeah, but they won't show what they're doing.
Ready to fire.
Ready? I think they're ready. That was so fun. I cannot do that, but I'm not heading that way, so definitely. Really? What's that mean? What are the distractions? I okay, so it's stuff over here. Way seemed impossible. And of course it goes super slow. Come on, you can't at least give us that. It's slow. that was annoying when... Ah, I see this. People following me? Yeah.
The enemy knows our location. Friendly vehicle destroyed. Ready to fire. One of our vehicles destroyed. Penetration. We lost a friendly vehicle. They destroyed one of our tanks. We didn't penetrate their armor. Good speed hit.
Out. Just get out, stop. Just get out! Finally, learn how to move.
Friendly vehicle destroyed. They've spotted us.
He's body.
We lost a friendly vehicle.
Well, of course. For
The
God's sake,
final
oh!
assault had been fierce, with
Oh my gosh. That just got out of control. That... How's that even... Don't say stuff from the beginning of it again. No. No. Please don't. Please. Begging you. Of course we have to. Oh God. Great. Oh, that was for nothing.
this was it. If Peters could smash the enemy front
Oh
line,
my
Germany would be
gosh.
pushed out of Romania.
Germany will be pushed out of Romania. Gosh. Sorry, I'm getting stressed. It's just getting annoying.
Peters
Oh,
knew
that's-
that somewhere out there, enemy tank destroyers were waiting to ambush the Russian advance.
No smoke. What's a German shot? Destroy Germans. Yeah, when it says to take out these German tanks, even though they're surrounding you, and you die. How is this not hitting?
Penetration.
Oh yeah, it disappears. I forgot.
Been detected. Ready to fire. Looks like that one went right through. Chalk up another.
It's taking so long.
With their armor.
Sam, just don't die this time. Just don't. And other people also don't die. Just literally just mess it up. For sure. Don't be so slow. You can't move. that been? Like, do we need to snipe them all off?
Locked and loaded.
I've done that. In the Jones, don't call.
I see one of them. Enemy's got us in their sights. Ready to fire. We're on fire.
No, really? Is this what's going on?
The
You
final
won't-
assault had been fierce, with a heavy price paid by both sides. When the smoke finally cleared across the...
Oh my gosh! That's... I've been doing all this just for that. I give up this game. I'm literally giving up. No. I give up. I'll finish this next time, or I'll just see ya. Give up.